We'll draw a parental rights line in the sand with Moms for Liberty co-founder and CEO Tina Descovich on this episode of United Patriots Uprising with Gary Binford. I'm your host, Gary Binford. Thanks for joining us. This podcast is available at radioinfluence.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find the video version at YouTube, Rumble, the God Family and Country Television Network, the Rose Unplugged Media Network, VAChristian.org, the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com, YourNews.com, WeSeeYouMedia.com, and Conservative Television of America. Wherever you go, please click the notification button, leave us a rating and a review, and please subscribe. Now, this is my fourth year, and if you go to radioinfluence.com/category/United Patriots Uprising, you can find all the episodes, both video and audio. There you'll find guests including Kevin Sorbo, Miranda Devine, Ben Carson, Monica Crowley, Charlie Kirk, Brigitte Gabriel, Pastor Alan Jackson, Naomi Wolf, Mel Kay, Carrie Lake, Ted Nugent, Stacey Washington, Rebecca Weber, and Judge Janine Pirro, recently sworn in as the interim United States Attorney for District of Columbia. So if you go there, you can find all the back shows. You know, we've been featuring each week a website that carries the show, and today we are going to feature WeSeeYouMedia.com. Now, We See You Media stands at the crossroads of truth, accountability, and fearless reporting. Built to challenge mainstream narratives and reclaim journalistic integrity, We See You Media isn't just a news outlet. It's a movement for independent voices tired of censorship and agenda-driven storytelling. We See You Media was founded by Lynn Matthews, its editor. Linda Genzel is a staple as a contributing opinion writer. For those who believe journalism should serve the people, not corporate interests or political elites, WeSeeYouMedia.com is your home. This is your voice, your platform, your fight. Now, speaking of fights, it has just gotten so ridiculous between the school system, the children, and the parents. What we're seeing and living through in this century, I can't believe what is going on. I can't believe what is going on with parents' inability to have parental rights and control over what their kids learn, how they learn it, from who they learn it, and to be able to be parents. And I'm telling you, Tina Descovich is not having this. Moms for Liberty has been at the forefront, one of the leading organizations for the past few years, of trying to make it possible again for parents to have a say in their children's education. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So what has happened, and how do we reverse this curse? Ready to find out? Well, let's get into it. She has a long record of fighting for students and parental rights in Florida, her residing state, and at the national level. The Moms for Liberty national nonprofit organization she co-founded in 2021 has grown to 320 chapters in a short period of time. They're in 48 states with 130,000 active members. She's a frequent guest on all major cable news stations, talk radio, and leading podcasts. I welcome to the show the co-founder and CEO of Moms for Liberty, Tina Descovich. How are you, Tina?
I am great. Thanks for having me with you today.
I have wanted to have you on the show for a long time, and I know I'm going to give a shout out to the New York chapter, Elena Chen, who's a friend of mine. Every time I see her, she's like, "You've got to get Moms for Liberty on the show." So Elena, I let her know that you were coming on, and boy, she was elated because She loves you. She loves the organization. And this organization has really exploded in a short period of time. And you say the mission is to save America by unifying, educating, and empowering parents and defending their parental rights at all level of governments. Can you kind of unpack what that really means so people can understand why you come from that particular angle?
Yeah, so when we started Moms for Liberty, the founding group were school board members. We had served from up until 2020. What we saw when we served, we like to say we saw behind the education curtain. We saw all the things that were really happening in public education. And one of the worst things happening was that school districts and state governments and even the federal government were stepping on parental rights. And we knew instinctively that once a parent loses the right to make decisions to raise their children, either their medical decisions, their education decisions, their moral and religious decisions, your family becomes broken. And once your family becomes broken, your communities are broken. And if your community is broken, your country's broken. And there's a direct link and a direct path to that. And so that's the line in the sand for us is we want to be able to raise our children. We want to keep our authority and our God-given rights to raise our children.
Absolutely. Now, in regard to parental rights, you say, quote, parental rights are being, quote, stomped on. Okay. Take us along the journey, of the naming of the organization and how it's become what it's become today in such a short period of time, because so many people can start an organization, but it could take so long to catch on. Why did Moms for Liberty just literally explode?
Just like any company or organization that explodes in that nature, it was a need. There was a need for it. And so, I saw firsthand when I served from 2016 to 2020 on the school board how hard it was to engage conservative minded, leaning parents, community, even the Republican Party on education issues. It was very discouraging for me. So I served on a school board in a very red county, 60% red. Uh, I've lived here all my life. I know most of the people. And every time we had an issue at the school district, even a textbook review, so a history textbook review would come up. By state statute, you have a month or more to review, open in the public, the textbooks that are being reviewed. By state law, we have to hold a meeting. And when I was chair, I had to hit the gavel and say a statement like, it's open up now for any public to comment on the book we're about to adopt. You had to do it 2 times in the meeting. You had to do it 2 meetings back to back. So there's plenty of legal opportunity for parents and community members to be involved and engage on what the children in public schools are learning. And yet nobody was taking that opportunity. Very few times anybody would show up. And I live in a huge community of 500,000 people. We have 75,000 students, 9,000 employees. And I would put out all calls. I mean, by law, we had to put it in the paper that we were having reviews, but I would send it out on my social, my newsletter list. Like, please, I'd send it to the Republican Party. Come in, help me. I'm one person. I can't review 12 years of textbooks in 30 days for all of history. I need the community involved. And just time and time again, not involved. And then as the election cycles would come around for school board members, the union is active. They are engaged. They have their candidates that they want on school boards. And it's not just like that here. It's all across the country. And the Republican Party, because I'm a Republican, I would go down and I'd say, hey, the Democrat Party is rallying behind these school board candidates. And yet the Republican Party could care less about education. They're so focused on everything but. And so, that's the backstory of what led up to Moms for Liberty. I mean, I sat on school board meetings where I was chair of the school board with thousands of protesters in my school board meetings in red shirts, red for ed, Moms Demand Action. No, you couldn't find anybody on the conservative aisle to stand there and support or sit or speak in public comment. And so when 2020 happened, and I was not on the school board anymore, I was taking stock of what needs to be done. What should I be doing right now? And I knew I wanted to do something to help parents advocate. We were looking around the country. School board meetings parents were being shut out. Mics were being shut down. Parents were learning what was being taught in classrooms. They were seeing policies that were very concerning to their families. They had no voice. And so we said, let's launch an organization now while everybody's paying attention to education. And, it was desperately needed.
Absolutely. On your website, there's a quote from founding father, John Adams. And it says children should be educated in instruction in the principles of freedom. And parents have lost the rights to actually make decisions for their children, and everything that we're seeing now, and we'll get into some of the issues, but everything we're seeing now didn't happen overnight. Now, some people may say, yeah, I hear you, Tina, but how much do you know about this? Well, let me tell you something. Tina has skin in the game. Her and her husband, Derek, have not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 children. So this hits close to home. So my question to you is, when did you start seeing the breakdown in not only the school system and what they were being taught or not taught, but slowly but surely parents being distanced from the ability to make the decisions that when I was growing up, parents used to come to the parent teachers meeting, and if they didn't like what was going on in the school, they used to put their foot down. But it's many moons ago.
I think it's happened slowly over time. Just things that would happen while I was on the school board and volunteering all the years when my kids were little in schools and in classrooms. Parents have some blame here. They were abdicating their responsibilities. I live in a pretty affluent beachside area, and I volunteered in the front office of our public school. One day a kid got dropped off with no shoes because his mom didn't feel like looking for the shoes. And so school staff has to run down to Walmart and get the kids some shoes for the day. And so, parents, there's a lot of parents that have been checked out. And then they've also felt disenfranchised and disconnected. Policies were being put in place for security reasons a lot of times that were keeping parents out of the classroom. Our campus and my kids' elementary school used to be completely open. There was no gates, no fences. It's all, Florida, so all the doors are outside. You could walk around, you could stand by your kid's door after school. And then over the years, it just kept changing. With every school shooting, gates were being put up, policies were being made. You couldn't eat lunch with them anymore. And so they've been pushed out of schools. And at the same time, the powers that be, and you can decide for yourself who's been doing it, they've been pushing curriculum in that is historically inaccurate. It is meant to divide between race, between sex, between class, you name it. Divisive ideologies have been being pushed into the classroom. Parents aren't there to see it because they've been pushed out of the classroom. And so it's kind of the perfect storm. And then starting around 2016, 2018, with all the gender ideology that was being pushed and the policies around that, surrounding that, the support guides that were being brought in by third-party nonprofit organizations, and school districts were just applying them without adopting a policy around that, was very concerning. And so the problem with those is these support guides would say things like children should be allowed to choose their gender. Children should be allowed to choose their pronoun or a name that they want to use in school. Children should be allowed to use the bathroom of the opposite sex if they're identifying differently. Children should be allowed to spend the night in overnight field trips with the gender that they feel most comfortable with. And then the most egregious parts of these guidelines, not policies, but guidelines, were that parents shouldn't be told about these things because parents may not be affirming. Parents may be too religious. Parents, in one FOIA request in North Florida we found back when we started Moms for Liberty was parents shouldn't be told because they're Catholic and they may not understand and support the child. And so once those types of things were being put in place, we knew for sure that parental rights were under attack and that families were being divided.
Yes, absolutely. Now, speaking of parental rights under attack, Moms for Liberty has been under attack practically from day one. Tell us about that, what it was like when you got started, and were you surprised where the pushback came from? Because you may think the pushback would come from the far left or from certain other entities, but it's like the whole educational system, and we're going to get into the effect of President Trump shutting down the Department of Education, but that pushback came, I would assume, from some places you did not expect.
It came from places I didn't know existed, to be honest. When we started Moms for Liberty, I'd never heard of the Southern Poverty Law Center. I didn't know who that was, and yet they have become to be, a huge thorn in Moms for Liberty's side.
Are you telling me they called you hate speech?
Oh,
a hate group? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were added to
Oh,
their map 2 years ago, and
oh boy.
it rocked our world in a lot of ways. In that same summer, Anonymous, I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They are the
No.
international. Oh, they're the international cyber. They wear the black masks, and they're in all black, and they send out those videos with the encoded voices. They
Cowards.
Oh, it's terrible. They came after us that same summer and cyber attacked us. And the experts we had to bring in said someone invested tens of millions of dollars to cyber attack Monster Liberty and try to access our membership list. Luckily, we were smart from day one and we knew that we might come under attack. So we had a lot of things in place to protect our data, to protect our members. But the teachers unions came after us, the NEA. I never thought the DOJ, the FBI, the federal government, the Biden administration, I never thought the National School Board Association would be an enemy of mine. I never thought, the list just goes on and on and on. And it is quite remarkable the enemies that we are racking up.
How did you handle that? Because some people and some organizations say, we don't need this, and they back off. But you haven't backed off. You've actually stepped up the efforts, even drawing a parental rights line in the sand, which I love, because see, what they want to try and make us do is cut bait and run. So how were you able as a group to stand together? And you speak and a lot of people speak nationally, and so you're out in public. What's that like? Because with Antifa and Soros and all the radical groups and everything, they always try and intimidate, and I would think they would really try and intimidate women, thinking, well, they're women. But you stood strong.
Yeah, so Antifa has come at us hard. They were at our Philadelphia National Summit. The Philly PD had to shut down an entire block around the Marriott Hotel one night. They had to have their riot police out shoulder to shoulder protecting us. It was quite remarkable to experience that. The night before our summit launched, our kickoff reception was at the Museum of the American Revolution, and Antifa spray painted on Washington Cross in the Delaware. They smashed in some of their windows, trying to intimidate them from hosting us, and they stood strong. They had members of the LGBTQ community that worked there that were threatening to not show up to work. So did the Marriott where we were staying, because so much pressure was put on them to cancel us. But they held to their contract in their defense. And so the intimidation threats have been amazing. Some of the worst, honestly, for months, if not for a full year. We were getting cards and postcards from Satan, and they were signed by Satan. They were talking about legions surrounding us, very evil. We've had witches send us letters and casting spells and hexes on us. Like, some of that is more intimidating than the actual physical threats of violence. Our children have been threatened. It's been pretty intense. I just told you about the cyber attacks, the federal government coming after us, FBI agents calling our moms, asking if they're speaking at school board meetings. Like, it really has been a wild 4.5 years. And so why do we keep going? We keep going because we're moms. Like, none of that matters when you put your child in front of you and look at them. When you see the assignments that have been coming home, when you talk to our members whose children that they've been tried to be transitioned in school from teachers or counselors, hell can come at us. We don't care. It's our kids. So it's as simple as that. We're moms, and we're going to put our kids first.
And Psalm 91, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And ward those things off. I am interested to hear about, and I love when people draw a line in the sand and respect it, because a lot of people draw a line in the sand, and when people cross it, they move the line back. But you've drawn a line in the sand on parental rights. Why? And I assume you plan to stand strong on parental rights.
Yeah, that's been our mission statement since the day we launched. We are very mission focused in this organization. As we grew and gained influence and had impact on elections and other things, outsiders come in and say, you have such a powerful group. Could you please make a statement on abortion? Or could you please help us fight the Second Amendment? Or could you please all of these other issues? And everyone in our organization is very clear. we are focused on defending parental rights. That is the line in the sand. We say that all the time because once we lose that, we've lost our families. If we can't raise our kids, we're done. And so that's our mission. That's our stand. Before us, there weren't very many, and there definitely wasn't a national stance on parental rights organizations, at least not a grassroots group working as hard and as growing as we are. And so there's a lot of groups fighting abortion. There's a lot of groups fighting, on the Second Amendment issue and all of these other issues, tax reform, you name it, they are out there. We are the only national grassroots fighting to defend parental rights. So we will not move off of that line ever.
I hear you. What do you think the effect of President Trump shutting down the Department of Education by an executive order is going to have on what you do? Is this going to kind of help, or, will this just raise the ante even higher?
Well, he's kind of thrown out the gauntlet and the line in the sand with his executive order, but it doesn't actually shut down the Department of Education. They've been able to cut, he's given the direction to Secretary McMahon. They've been able to cut half the staff, et cetera, et cetera. But until Congress steps in, it's not, it won't be official. And will they get their act together and do that? I don't know. And so for us, really nothing changes. And if it happens, for us, more work is given to us because we work at the county level, at the school district level. And so if truly education is returned to the states and local school districts, Moms for Liberty chapters will be more important than ever because we need parents engaged. Yes, you need to be in your classroom reading and bringing cupcakes, but you have to be engaged at the policy level in your school district because that is where everything started going south. When parents stopped paying attention to policies and policies were being adopted that were being passed down from federal, state, local level, not a second guess, just adopting them. And they're impacting our children locally. And so Moms for Liberty will be more important than ever.
I hear you. Now, every now and then, Tina, I do what I call the mic drop. And the mic drop on the stage because I kind of have a musical background, but mic drop on the stage is somebody would say something, just drop the mic and walk off the stage and everybody's cheering wildly. So we occasionally do a mic drop here on the show, and I will just say a couple words and drop the mic and sit back and let you freestyle. Are you ready?
Okay.
Yeah, all right, the mic drop. Mic drop, and I'm going to sit back and have some mineral water and eat some popcorn. And the mic drop, trans agenda. Bloop.
The trans agenda has spawned trans activists, and trans activists are destroying our country. They are coming after our children. They have been clear. They have been bold. They have been forthright in what they are doing. It's destroying public education. It's dividing parents from families. It's distorting children's identity of who they are, that they have been created in the image of God, that they are male or female. The basic truths of civilization are being destroyed and tested by these trans activists and by the trans agenda. It's heartbreaking to watch. That's the word I'm going to use. It's heartbreaking, but you can move on and say it's disgusting, it's destabilizing, it's destroying. And so go back to who is the root of all destroyer, of all things that are being destroyed. And then you can just sum up that whole thing and you can say it's evil.
It's evil. How do you counsel moms or parents in general to deal with this issue when you're dealing in a school district where the school district is saying, if you even try and get involved with knowing what's going on with your kid at the school as it applies to this particular issue, and not let us make the decisions, that we could have you jailed or your children taken away? Is that an idle threat, or is this something that you really have to learn how to navigate around, like in states like California?
Actually, states like Colorado, they just passed the most egregious bill against parental rights, 1312, House Bill 1312. And so it's not it's not just California. It's not just Washington State. It's moving across the country. It never stays in one state. And so is this something we have to be concerned about? Yes. What is Moms for Liberty doing? We're doing our mission statement. We are fighting for this at all levels of government. We are working at local school board level to work with our school boards to change their policies. If that doesn't work, we work to replace them. We've won 504 school board seats over the last 3 years, and we're going to continue to endorse and support candidates that support parental rights. Then we work at the state level. We've gotten 55 bills in 14 states signed into law that protect parental rights, that improve education, that open curriculum and make it more transparent, that protect girls in sports from keeping boys out of their sports. You name it, we are addressing all of these issues that have to do with education or parental rights at the state level. And finally, we are also working at the federal government level. Thank goodness we have President Trump and Linda McMahon now at the DOE. We were partnering with them on a lot of initiatives. He has had us front and center and present there for bills, many of these bills that he has signed about the issues that we care about. And so Moms for Liberty is on the front lines of this culture war. We are going to continue to be on the front lines of this culture war. And we are just grateful for your support and the support of all the folks out there that are behind us cheering.
Thank you. Now, before I ask you to tell people how they can get involved with Moms for Liberty and how to contact you, before I ask that, my final question is, you say that parents have the authority to combat government overreach and to deal with this themselves because it's their issue, because it's their kids. What would you say to parents about how they should get involved in their schools, their school district, to make sure they protect their children?
Just about all school board meeting agendas are public record. They usually put them about 7 days before out online on the school district website. Every parent, whether you're a member of Moms for Liberty or not, can pull down your school board agendas, and you should do that. You should review their current policies. Those are all mostly public too. If they're not, you can do a public records or a FOIA request and get a hold of them. Serving on a school board for 4 years, I can tell you there's something concerning on every single school board meeting agenda. Every single one. Maybe it's a purchase that you shouldn't think they should be spending their money on. Maybe it's a tax referendum they're putting up. Maybe it's a textbook they're adopting. But there's always stuff to look into, and it's worth your time to take those steps to do that. Obviously, I want people to join a Moms for Liberty chapter because then that multiplies your work. It amplifies your work. You could rotate. You only have to check the agenda one time a year because you've got enough people checking every school board agenda and reporting back. You've got a team behind you when you do need to go speak. Again, I served on a school board. One person brings one issue. It's interesting. 10 people show up on the same issue, you're paying attention. 100 show up, you cannot ignore it. 1,000 show up, you're going to take action. And so I watched that happen with the Red for Ed, and we have duplicated that with Moms for Liberty, and that's why we've been so effective.
I hear you. Tina, thanks for coming on. Please tell people why they should get involved with Moms for Liberty, how they can get involved with Moms for Liberty, how to reach you, and anything else you'd like to promote.
Yeah, we are Moms for Liberty. We are found at momsforliberty.org. You go to our website, there's a big map right on the front. If you are in a navy blue county, that means you do not have a chapter, and you can click on there and you can start a chapter. If you're in a lit up yellow county, that means the lights are on in your county, and you click and you can connect to your chapter chair. You can sign up for our newsletter online. You can become a national member of Moms for Liberty. It's free. We can help keep you apprised of things that are going on nationally, but really this work has to be done locally. And so we hope that you will either join a local chapter or start a local chapter. Please follow us on all of our socials. We're Moms for Liberty on every social account you can think of. And we just launched our brand new podcast. Episode 5 was yesterday. We stream it live 10 a.m. on Wednesdays on all our social accounts. You can find it on Apple and Spotify. It's called The Fire of Liberty. And we showcase a mom each week, or a dad, somebody leading the charge in their community, their entire story. And the feedback has been remarkable. People are really enjoying this podcast.
Thank you very much. Now, there's one other thing I have to ask you because, when somebody really gets involved with your organization and really supports your organization that has a lot of clout, I know it has to give you a good feeling, but it also, I would say, is inspiring. So please tell the listening audience to have President Trump behind and supporting. He came on the podcast to have President Trump involved and acknowledging Moms for Liberty. Tell me about that. That's my final question to, yeah.
It's really remarkable. For years, I would watch presidential debates, gubernatorial debates. And they never, especially if it was a primary with conservative or Republican candidates, they hardly mentioned education. If they did, there was a nod to school choice, but never improving education, never really acknowledging the real problems, the indoctrination that's happening, all of the issue that Moms for Liberty is standing for. And, I was asked to speak shortly before this last presidential election at a Trump rally in Arizona. And as I was preparing my speech, I went to his platform and I found like 5 of his 10 or 5 of his 15 were things that Moms for Liberty was fighting for. And so at that moment, I just knew I already was voting for him, I already was supporting him. But I made that connection of, if we elect this man and he keeps his promises, the issues we are fighting for, that, the federal government had been attacking us the last 4 years, we will have somebody in the Oval Office that is standing with us on our issues. And President Trump did get elected, as you know, and right out the gate, executive order after executive order on the issues that we have been fighting so hard for 4 years. And to sit there in that room when the Keeping the Boys Out of Girl Sports executive order was signed, and behind him was, 50 of our moms with their children. I was sitting in the back row in the room at that day, and I started crying. I started weeping because I was watching this historical moment of these moms that have been fighting so hard for 4 years, their children sometimes getting really mad at them. A, they're not home as much. B, they're like embarrassing them by speaking in public. They're in the newspaper. Their friends are mad at them because of what their mother said. And then to see them standing there with the President of the United States changing policy together from the work that they have done. So an amazing moment to be part of. And we are very blessed.
You are very blessed, and the audience is blessed to hear you. Thank you for coming on, Tina. God bless your organization. God bless you. God bless your family, and please keep up the great fight.
Thank you so much for your time and for giving Moms for Liberty this platform. We are grateful for the work that you're doing.
You are so welcome. There you have it, everyone. Tina Descovich, Moms for Liberty, telling it like it is. Please go check the website and get involved, because if you don't get involved for the lives of your children, unfortunately, the people who will have bad intentions. Once again, Tina Descovich. I want to thank Tina Descovich for coming on and really breaking down in no uncertain terms why parental rights is so important. We've got to get control of this and allow parents to have the final say in the education of their children, not these Marxist indoctrination centers that they're sending them to. It's terrible what's going on. This is government overreach. This is education overreach, and it's got to stop, because you're seeing our kids being taught all kind of things that are ungodly, that are un-American, and again, if this is what they learn now, just imagine what they're going to be like when they become the next voting base. So got to get a hold of this while we still have time to do something about it. So Tina, thank you for who you are, what you do, what Moms for Liberty is doing, and please keep up the great fight, because it's greatly needed. Well, that's all for now, everybody. This is your host, Gary Binford, saying until the next time, God bless you, God bless your families, and God bless America.